Welcome back to the Money Focus Podcast. I'm your host, Moses the Mentor. And on this episode, I'm excited to welcome Samuel Richmond, who's a visionary in the realm of holistic financial planning. And he's also the founder of NvestFit. Samuel's approach to financial well-being, combining personalized planning with a wide array of investment and insurance solutions, promises to offer unique insights. So let's dive into his strategies for a meaningful and purpose-driven financial future. Let's go. The first thing I always ask my guests to do is just open us up with about their career journey. So walk us through that, their professional journey, and ultimately what led you to start your business. So the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Moses. I really appreciate it. And it's an honor and a privilege for me to be on your podcast. So thank you for all that you do for the community. A little bit about me. This is 15 years since becoming a financial advisor. I started at the ripe young age of 26, and this year I turned 41. So I've been in it a minute. I was very fortunate to start my practice. We started in 2015 and relaunched in 2021 during the pandemic. So 2015, I had my first son, realized, man, I need some benefits. So I went over to Fidelity Investments and did that for a few years. And then, relaunched during the pandemic as the kids got a little bit older and I got a little bit more seasoned. You see this gray hair over here. Married, personally about me, I'm married to my beautiful wife, Melanie. We are going on 18 years. She runs her own private practice. She's a therapist. There's like marriage and family counseling. And then I have two wonderful boys, Samuel and Isaiah. They're 6 and 8 at this moment. So that's a little bit about me.
Now, when you were working, before you started your practice, was there a pivotal moment that you had where you said, hey, I definitely want to start my own business? Is there any story behind that?
Yeah, I think as far as I can remember, that's really all I ever wanted. My parents were immigrants to this country from Guyana, South America. And, my dad always had his own business. Most of my family had their own business. I mean, we're very entrepreneurial in nature, or you can maybe say stubborn. And so even when I was 18, when I was 19 years old, when I was in high school, I read Who Moved My Cheese. I was reading these business books. And when I was in college, I read nothing but business books. I mean, I'm really for the last probably 20 years, that's all I've read. So for me, I was engulfed in it. The people that I hung around was entrepreneurial. It was just trying to figure out how to do it, like how to go from getting a steady paycheck on a regular basis and being plugged into an existing system. How do I transition from that to being in a position to generate income on my own? And I got to a point to where, when you're making a lot of money, but you feel like you'd much rather make $50,000 for yourself than $250,000 for someone else, that's when it's like, hey, I got to go. And I remember making my first dollar and just, my first sale where it was like, just a sense of pride where, hey, I did this on my own. No one provided that for me. I went out there, I hunted, I found the prospect or the lead, turned it into a prospect, turned it into a client, providing a solution. And, that was just a sense of pride that I still remember to this day. Unfortunately, I don't have my first dollar that I made and put it up on the frame because guarantee I needed the money. If I had it, I would have spent it when you first start a business. So.
Yeah, no, that definitely is a different mindset. People will say that, like, are you sure you don't want to go for a promotion? You sure you don't want to do this? But when someone is ready to really start their own, they'll take less money for something that they build from the ground up. So it takes a certain type of individual that's willing to do that. It sounded like that was really, deep and rooted in you from seeing your family do it. So, kudos to you. And it's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5.
No,
but having your own business is very rewarding. I currently do both.
Yeah, and that's definitely a good way to do it. You kind of do both if you can until you're able to kind of wean yourself off of the other. But there are some businesses where you have to go all in, and in that instance, that's when you start to see the income levels that you need to hit. But the reality is that you got to be smart about it. And part of it is all about positioning. And so when we work with a lot of clients that are entrepreneurially minded or entrepreneurs themselves, 70% of our clients are entrepreneurs. They own their own business. And for those that are entrepreneurially minded, there are certain strategies that we help them employ so that they're business ready, I guess I should say. So.
So talk to us about your business. So the name of your company is NvestFit, what all the services you offer, and just give us a breakdown of what makes your company unique.
The best advice I ever got was from my father. And, he told me right before I started college, I had just graduated high school and it was the summertime. And I remember we were out in the parking lot and he said, Samuel, he talked with a heavy accent, South American accent, but he said, Samuel, this is America. He said, you can be successful doing anything. He said, you can sweep floors and become a millionaire. He said, just find something that you love, that you're passionate about, that you'd be willing to do for free and give it 110%. And I promise you, you'll be successful. So for me, I've always been focused on what are those things that I'm most passionate about. And I think for a lot of folks, when it comes to passion, everyone's like, well, that's fine that you're passionate about it, but go get paid, and you hear some people talk about your passion is not your paycheck, but I think you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I would hate to live where I'm doing something that doesn't bring me joy, because if I die tomorrow, I don't want to be floating up to heaven and looking down at myself, shaking my head like, dang, dude, that's all we got. This is all we got. Like, this is all we were able to do. You're not happy, you're miserable. So that, I say all that to say that for my company, NvestFit, if I wasn't doing financial planning, I'd probably own a gym, and we will own a gym one day, because I'm really big into health. And the 4 pillars of my life is that I live by, 4 corners, 4 pillars, whatever you want to call it, is faith, family, fitness, and finances. And it's in that order with how I conduct my day. And so going kind of into my business now, or starting with the name, what's in the name, right? NvestFit is kind of the combination of investment or invest and fitness. And so we believe our tagline is financial fitness at its finest. So we believe that we want our clients to be financially well. And I don't care how successful you are, you can always be better. So where kind of like the fitness thing comes in here is that I'm a performance oriented guy, whether I'm driving a car or whether I'm in the gym working out. And so I always want to be the best, but I always want to be better than my best yesterday, right? Today, I want to be better than my best yesterday. And so we're always improving. And so from that perspective, that's what we do for our clients. So I don't care if you're super successful already. We're going to find ways to save you taxes. We're going to find ways to improve your returns. We're going to find ways to reduce your risk. Or when I say improve your returns, maybe you're taking too much risk and we need to back off some of those returns, but it's going to create a healthier investment strategy for you to actually make it not only to say retirement or whatever the goal may be, but through retirement, through that goal. So we want people to get to their destination and be able to enjoy it, and also enjoy the journey along the way. A lot of times we're so focused on the end game that we fail to enjoy the beautiful moments along the way.
I like the fact that you said, like, even if you're successful with money today, there's still ways that you can help someone. It could be a tax benefit. It could be, setting up for retirement, all those type of things. So pretty much you have a full suite of services that can help anyone at any stage in their financial level, as far as the money in itself or the knowledge. Because I'm sure you run into people who have a lot of money but really don't have the knowledge.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's different. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure,
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, leading to my next question, like, so what are some of the challenges that you typically face with your clients, and how do you help them overcome them?
Definitely. So I think that, there are two, our clients kind of span the gamut, or, we're kind of like full spectrum here, because we have, historically or traditionally speaking, when I got into the industry, it was talk to people that have money, right? 55 and $500,000. That was the target. 55 and 500,000. If you have less than 500,000, we don't have a conversation. Okay. Great to meet you. Adios.
Wow.
I remember I was talking to this young doctor, and he had just graduated his residency, and he was maybe a few years younger than me. Really cool dude. I was like, man, we could be really good friends. And, we got into doing the financial profiling, and, he had like $80,000, and I ended up having to refer him. I didn't know my own firm at the time. I was at Fidelity, and I had to refer him to our junior advisor. But I remember thinking to myself, I was like, dang, I couldn't even hire myself, because I didn't have $500,000 at the time. And so that never sat well with me. But, you typically had an investment minimums of the firm. Now that I have launched my own business, we have no investment minimums. We have a mindset minimum. So I do have clients who have net worths in excess of 14 million, but I also have clients that have no money with me. We're just doing financial coaching. So in terms of like the services that we provide, and then I'll get into the challenges, because those challenges vary depending on who we're talking to, right? If we're talking to the younger individual or the person that's just getting started, or maybe it's like a young attorney that had a divorce and he or she is rebuilding, then the conversation and the challenges that we have to overcome is going to be completely different from the individual that is seasoned. Then maybe they sold a business for $20-30 million, whatever the case may be, or they're entering retirement, they've had a successful career and they've kind of already built it. And so now we got to figure out, how do we continue to grow it prudently, but minimize tax drag along the way, and then put them in a position to be able to maximize income in retirement in the most strategic way, and then transfer their wealth to the next generation with the least amount of tax drag as well. So those challenges are fun, very fun, and very different, right? We get to be a little bit creative and unique. Versus the other thing, which is also fun. I think one is fun and exciting and sexy. The other one maybe is more meaningful because you feel like you're making an impact, because these are folks, maybe it's a young doctor or a young attorney and they got a ton of student loans, very great income coming in, or it can be a professional as well. It doesn't have to be a doctor and attorney. That just tends to be, the people that we tend to come in contact with a lot. Or maybe it's a new business owner and you're helping them navigate different things. Hey, their biggest deal is, how do I navigate paying down my student loan debt? That's, ridiculous. How do I do that while at the same time saving for my retirement years? Maybe I want to start a business at some point in the future. Maybe I want to buy a house. I want to start a family and have kids. What about college education for the kids? I don't want them to be burdened with this debt that I have. So everyone has different challenges and it's unique. And one of the beautiful things I love about my field and about being a financial advisor, is that no two clients are the same and no 2 days are the same. And so that's the super exciting part about what I do and what I love about, my life, is that I get to, create relationships with people, connect with people in different ways, and help them solve very complex problems to improve their quality of life and help transform, hopefully, their life, but also make a tremendous impact on the next generation or generations to come. So I said a lot, but, that's what I do. I love what I do.
Good. I mean, when you interact with people, what are some misconceptions that might commonly come up about being a financial planner? Are people just immediately skeptical on what services you offer? Like, what are some of the objections maybe that you have to overcome when you first on board, or even try to get a client?
Yeah.
So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think that I think one of the misconceptions, I don't know if I would call it a misconception, but one of the hurdles that we have to overcome is, hey, do I have enough money to work with you, right? Like I said, I don't have investment minimums, and I'm very adamant about that. I've had several coaches, and I spoke to someone the other day, very successful financial advisor, and he was and mentor, and he was like, Samuel, you have more experience than I do. Like you only need to talk to people that have $1 million. I don't agree with that. And I'm not dissing anyone that does that. And I'm not saying that I'll never ever get to that point. If I do, what I would do is I would have someone else that focus on a segment of folks that's not there yet. But my goal is to get everyone there. And I know that if I can get the person at a point, the number one thing that clients tell me is, man, Samuel, I wish I met you 20 years earlier. So if I can meet these people 20 years earlier, 20 years from now, those individuals are going to be far better off than the typical $500,000 client that the industry kind of focuses on. That's, misconception. Do I have enough money? What is it that you do? Like, nobody knows what a financial advisor, do. Even if you're a client, sometimes, what is a financial advisor? You manage my investment portfolio. And some advisors, that's all they do. They just manage the investment portfolio. Well, we have clients where they don't even have their investments with us. But we do comprehensive financial planning, where we provide them with a roadmap that says, here's where you are today, here's where you want to go, and these are the things that you're doing well. Stop doing that, don't do it anymore. And here's what you need to do to really improve your probability of success to be able to reach those goals. And the reality when it comes to goals is there's short-term, intermediate, and long-term goals. We're not just focused on retirement, because that could be 25, 30 years out of the way, or it could be 5 years down the road, or you could be in retirement. Every client is different, but we want to make sure that every single thing that we're doing, every single aspect that touches your world, your financial world, or that has a financial impact in your world, is working in concert with one another and not conflict. And I can't tell you how many times I meet with a client. They got all these different advisors. And guess what? Not one single advisor have talked to the other advisor. The advisor doesn't know the CPA. The CPA doesn't know the insurance rep. And the insurance rep doesn't know the estate planning attorney. What we do here that's very unique and I think different is that we make sure that we are in contact with everybody on the team, right? We kind of act like a quarterback, right? To coordinate all the strategies, make sure that everyone's on the same page so that we're all, creating, music to my ears instead of it just being a bunch of banging and clanging and clashes and all that good stuff. So
that to me makes a lot of sense because how can you really offer sound advice and coaching if you don't really know all the players? You know what I'm saying? Like it's pretty crazy to me. And I think that's why some of the times, financial planners might get a bad rap because they're very singular focused. They're looking at, hey, what can I offer you if they get the highest commission? I think that's some of the feedback I've received over the years as to why to stay away from a financial planner. But your firm, your business is really cool because it really looks at the whole health of the person.
absolutely.
That the financial health, the physical health. So, those holistic principles that you talk through is really key. So just curious if you wanted to share a success story about a client where you were able to shape their perception of a financial planner. And now they turned into a great client of yours and they ultimately were very successful in the area of money.
So there's one gentleman that was referred to me from a client, a current client. During his late 20s, I guess, there were some mistakes or challenges that he had to overcome and make some financial decisions that necessarily wasn't in the best interest. But up until he met me, it's probably about 6 years, he had about $55,000 worth of debt. He was slated to pay it off at his current pace, possibly in 11 years. That's like if he got focused on it. And he was making a decent income, somewhere in the neighborhood of about $84,000. So not bad income. Single dude, he had a kid, but he was single for all intents and purposes. And he wanted to improve. And so we began doing financial coaching with him, and where we just met for 30 minutes once a month. And throughout the course of the year, he's been with me a little bit over a year now. Within that first year, within less than 9 months, we had put him on a plan to pay his debt off in 18 months instead of 11 years. He was going to save about $60,000. He was going to save more interest. He was going to save more in interest than the actual debt itself. So that's just kind of like cleaning up house, right? Getting him on trajectory, paying off debt. But in addition to that, we began saving for his emergency fund. And then also he started maximizing his contributions to his 401k. In the process of all this, I always say, when you make good decisions, good things happen. And so throughout the course of us working together that first year, his income went from $84,000. He ended up getting 2 raises in the same year, which is kind of rare in his field. And he ended up going all the way up to about $114,000, I believe is where he might be at right now. The beautiful thing is that he feels a lot better, feels a lot more confident. We tackle questions like, hey, Samuel, I really want to supercharge paying off this debt. Should I get a second job? Should I get it like a side hustle? And, he has a kid and he wants to spend time with him and his job has him traveling. So we help him to evaluate things such as, well, if you do that, how much do you think, how much time will you have to put into that? How much extra will you make, right? In this instance, he was like, I just need to make $3,000 extra and I'm only going to work X amount of dollars, $3,000 a month. Okay. Well, we went into his budget and we found over $3,000 worth of money that he didn't have to waste. So I said, let me ask you this question. Do you think it's better for us to try to control the spending here and you take that $3,000 and that helps you to advance paying off your goals? Or do you want to take your time and go and time to make $3,000, but take time away from you being able to invest in your child's life? And so that's something that maybe a lot of financial advisors, they may or may not have those conversations. I don't know. I think financial advisors comes in all shapes and sizes, but that's something that we do. And I don't know if I have enough time for the other example, but I'll just leave that at that. But at a high level, with our higher net worth clients, the biggest pain point for them is typically taxes. So I have a ton of stories on how we max. I've just by doing Roth conversions on one particular client 2 weeks ago, we showed them how we could save them over, I think it was $1.4 million over the course of their retirement. And I think what I would say mostly is that it's mindset. I talk a lot about mindset, and I think when it comes to building wealth, we have to have, wealth is a burden. I think that, wealth is a burden. And that's why you see folks that inherit large sums of money, or they go play sports, they make large sums of money, or they win the lottery and they're bankrupt within 3 to 5 years. They're worse off after having millions of dollars than they did before because they have not built stamina. So it's like that little scrawny kid going to the gym for the first time and trying to throw, 300 pounds on the bench press, and it's going to crush you. You're going to crush under the weight. Yeah. So one of the things we do when we're working with younger clients or newer clients or younger heart clients is helping them to develop the right mindset around money, about investing, around saving. It doesn't matter how much money you make. I know guys making $500,000, that's $80,000 in credit card debt, right? It doesn't matter how much money you make. It's about what you do with the money that you keep, right? It's about how much money you keep and what you do with the money that you keep. So you can be working in a library making $45,000 and retire with $2.5 or $4 million. It's all about what you do with the money and how you spend it. So,
yeah, I talk about that a lot. Had a guest on recently. She worked in the bank. I used to work in the bank before, so I was able to easily relate because you can't judge a book by its cover for sure. Because folks come in there looking like $1 million and it could be worth a negative $1 million. If someone comes with a T-shirt and slippers, then they can have $5 million. Who knows? So definitely don't judge a book by its cover. And I agree with you 100%. It's not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep, and not worrying about the Joneses.
For real, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter how much you make. It's about how much you keep and then what you do with what you keep. So that's the follow-up, because you can keep money under your mattress. You can bear it out in your backyard. Right. You can keep it in your bank account with super low savings interest rates. And, you have to make about 5% just to keep up with inflation and tax drag. Okay. So historically, CPI, Consumer Price Index, is roughly about 3.4 to 3.5%. So inflation, say 3.5 to 4%. And then tax drag is another 1 to 2%, right? So 5%, call it, 4.5%, 5%, maybe 5.5% is the rate of return that your money needs to make just to keep even with your expenses so that you have the same buying power. Because a dollar tomorrow is worth less than a dollar today.
Yeah, you read my mind. I read my mind because I say that as much as possible because foundationally, that's one of the most important things you can learn about money. Because again, you can't really think about it in a way like, okay, well, I got $100 and thinking that it's worth $99.99 the next day. So a lot of people can't really relate to that, but it's really true. It's happening before your eyes. And I always say the inflation part, but you gave me a good nugget right there with the tax drag. So if it's really about 5% every year, when you're investing in these, money markets or, a CD or whatever, you're not really making ground. You're going to have to put your money into something that could get you a higher return than 5%. And, it just takes a lot of education to get there for sure.
Absolutely. There are a lot of different vehicles. If I want to take my kids to Disney World, that's going to impact how many people are coming with me, and what we're going to do will impact if I take the convertible Jag or I take the SUV, right? And then the other thing is that, if you take a scooter, you're never going to get there. You'll be gray haired before you get there, from Atlanta. So the vehicles, some people have vehicles, one thing that, time value of money, right? And, how much time, and it's not timing the market, right? It's not trying to time, I'm going to get in at this time or I'm going to get out and I'm going to get out and get in. And no, it's time in the market. The more time in the market, just trajectory of the market, even though it might, if you look at it under a small microscope or a short period of time, you could see it go down or go sideways. But if you expand your view over a long period of time, you're going to see that the trajectory of the market trend is always upwards, right? Up and away. So people tell me all the time, and, going back to one of your misconceptions, investing in the stock market is like gambling. No, abso-freaking-lutely not. Gambling the house always wins. Even if you win, you've lost, because now you have the memory of winning and think you're going to be able to do it again. And you bet bigger and you lose even bigger. The house always wins. 70% of the time, the stock market is up, point blank, period. If you have a negative year over the course of 5 years, if you stay invested appropriately in a well-diversified portfolio, predominantly growth companies, even if you had a huge loss, you would make that up within 5 to 6 years, worst case scenario. But at the end of that period, you would actually have more shares, so that the next 5 to 10 years, you would see an explosion in your wealth. So, all those individuals that came out of the market in 2008 because, they felt uncomfortable. Like, I know people that had $2 million that sat in a money market account for almost a decade. We could have doubled that money. It could have been 4 million in that time frame at a 7% rate of return. And young people, we all say we want to retire at like 45. Like, we want to retire at 45. We retire at 55. But we're going to live till 100. We're going to live till 100. You want to retire at 45, 55. What are you going to do? Yeah. We have this thing called risk tolerance. What's your risk tolerance? What's your risk comfort level in the market? This is kind of a series of questions, and then people put it together, and it's like, okay, well, I am, 80% equities, 20% fixed income, or I'm 50% equities, 50% fixed income, or I'm 80% fixed income, 20% equities, right? Well, basically, whatever your risk tolerance is determines how fast you can go and reach your destination. And so really, it's a mathematical equation in terms of, how much money you need for retirement, and based on what you have now, and what how much money you need to save on a monthly basis based on the rate of return that we're able to get. But, sometimes I have to educate people if their risk tolerance is too low, because a lot of times why that is that they just don't know. They don't understand. And so once they understand and they're well informed, then they're able to make informed decisions to benefit themselves. Otherwise, I'm like, you want to retire at 65 at a 4% rate of return in your money market or whatever, you're never going to retire. You're going to work until you die, or you're going to have to move that number to 85. Do you want to continue to work until 85, right?
Yeah. And what type of retirement do you want? Do you want a retirement that you just, sit in a rocking chair and just pay all your bills? Or do you want to be able to travel? Do you want to be able to spend time with your family? So I think all of those factors also need to take into account what you will need for retirement. And like you mentioned, the life expectancy hopefully continues to go up, and you don't want to have to circle back and say, oh, I need a job at 70, so let's just figure it all out now, put our investments to work and put it in places where we can double and triple and 5X and 10X eventually, so cool. Thanks for that information. What's next for your company? Anything you want to talk about, like, the future? How is NvestFit going to look in 5 years? Break that down for us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Moses. So, first and foremost, what we provide to our clients right now is comprehensive financial planning. That's, a physical document. We have it tied to an app. So you have the digital version where you can track, organize your entire financial life in one place. We have your top 3 goals front and center. At any given day, you log into your app, what your net worth is, how you're tracking in all of your accounts, and how you're tracking towards your goals. And you can dive in deeper and look at returns and all these other things. But that's really organizing your entire financial life in one place, right? And then we provide you with a plan. Specifically, this is what you need to do it in your insurance to mitigate your risk. This is what you need to do from a performance standpoint. This is the rate of return we need to get. These are the types of accounts you need to have, whether it's IRA, SEP IRA, your 401k, your Roth IRA, etc. So we're very specific in terms of telling you, you told me this is the goal. We start there. This is your goal. This is what you want to do. This is where we are. This is what you have to do in all these different areas. And these are the people that we need to bring around you, the tax professional, the estate planning attorney, etc. We'll work with these folks to help you reach your destination with confidence and greater peace of mind. But then we also do investment management, and we do, life, health. We don't do health insurance, actually. We're licensed, but we don't do it. I would partner that out. Life, disability, and long-term care insurance for individuals. And then we have other insurance policies for business owners as well. Business already expense policy being one, buy-sell agreements, insurance to fund buy-sell agreements, and we'll work with your attorney on that. And so, we do the financial planning, we do the investments, we do insurance. We also do financial coaching, which I think I spoke to a little bit about that, where it's just, it's typically for those younger clients that are getting started in life. They don't really have a lot of financial they don't have a lot of money saved right now, or they're saving all of their money inside of their 401k because, they're a W-2 employee. And so, but they need good, solid financial advice. And so our financial coach program helps with that. The next thing we want to do is, and matter of fact, one of the calls that I was on earlier was with an enrolled agent, because we're going to be launching this year a tax practice. I used to be a part of a tax practice. We had 700 clients. And, what we're trying to create for our clients is kind of a one-stop shop, just kind of sound a little bit cheesy, but, there's nothing worse than when you give your clients advice to do something, and then a year later, you ask them during the review and they still haven't met with that other professional, right? So what we want to do is try to make things as easy as possible for our clients to be able to get done. Plus, the number one thing that we keep getting from our clients is, Samuel, do you know a good CPA? Do you know a good tax preparer? Do you know a good bookkeeper, et cetera? So this year we will be launching a tax planning, bookkeeping, and tax preparation service that's going to complement for our clients as well as for folks, typically business owners, because we're doing bookkeeping, our clients and folks that want to take advantage of that. They don't have to be a client of NvestFit per se. But again, I think there's a lot of synergy in terms of, if we're able to see the tax return, know what's going on, then there are other things that we can do on the retirement side, investment planning and tax planning side on our side. Property and casualty insurance is probably something that we may add later on as well, to have someone, whether we partner directly with them or have them be in-house. Again, we don't do property and casualty insurance, but we review those documents to make sure that you have an umbrella policy, or you have the appropriate levels of limits and stuff like that. Because listen, it doesn't matter if I make you $1 million, if, over time, if you get sued, you get in a car accident and you get sued, and, they're able to come after your assets, we don't have proper protections in place. It doesn't matter how great I am. So we want to make sure that we're looking at the total picture, concentrated on just one aspect of your financial life, and we coordinate the professionals around that. So I would say, the next 3 to 5 years, those are the two lines of service that we want to add to complement this. And then beyond that, we just want to grow with the advisors. So I am sitting in our office building. I just, my brother and I, we invested in a 3-story office building right by the Battery off of Windy Hill Road. We're easy access to the highway. It's the same exit as the exit for the Battery. We're very blessed.
It just turns out that, I'm in Atlanta as well. But for the people that don't know where the Battery is, the Battery is it's essentially where the Braves play. So the Atlanta Braves. So it's this complex. It's a very highly desirable area. So the fact that Samuel was able to acquire a 3-story building in the Battery, kudos to you, man. That's a huge win. And I'm sure it won't be a problem to get tenants. So another income stream for you as well. So congrats.
I feel very fortunate. I consider it to be a miracle that we're even here. I mean, I went independent and, started in like a 250 square foot office, then, rented another office. And then now I have I got 14 offices in this building, and we can build out more.
Go ahead and close this out with any final thoughts or advice that you have for the audience. And then also just, shout out your company again, your website, social media that you may have. So I just really appreciate you joining the show, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I have anything specific other than, I run into a lot of people, typically in their later years. And the number one thing that they say is, man, I wish I met you when I was younger. And I think young people, they think that, hey, I'm too young, or I don't have enough money, or hey, I'll deal with this later on. My saving grace and why I was able to, I'm 41 now, and, I own my own company. My wife owns her own company. It took us 15 years. It took us 15 years of toil and struggle and having to overcome challenges to get to where we are. But, we've been doing this now for a few years now on our own. And I mean, the freedom, the flexibility, again, this is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, that's one thing. And it's the beautiful thing. It's hard work. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, and not everyone needs to be that, but you can still put yourself in a position where you work at your organization. If you love it, you're able to add value and you enjoy it, but still put yourself in a position where you don't become a slave to your lifestyle. And so I'd say live on less than you earn. Be very intentional about what you do with your money. Start sooner rather than later. Don't wait. When you think about time value of money, I'd say time in the market is better than timing the market, right? So the longer you're invested in the market, the less rate of return we have to have in order for you to win. So you can actually be more conservative but make more money, if you have a longer time period, because that's more time for your money to compound. So I would say there's so much information on the internet, good, and a lot of misinformation, right? So you want to be mindful, find yourself someone that you can trust. I'm a certified financial planner. I would say seek out a certified financial planner in your town or wherever you are. We work with folks all over the US, but definitely why I say a certified financial planner is because you want someone that's going to act as a fiduciary, meaning that they're going to act in your best interest. And there are a lot of great books. I'm going to give you a couple great books to read until I'm in the middle of writing one right now. It's not out yet, so unfortunately, I can't shout out my own book. But
well, you got to come back when you got it.
I appreciate that. The Millionaire Next Door. Obviously, many of you have probably heard about that. The Mindset of a Millionaire, or The Millionaire Mind, is written by the same author. I think it's Dr. Thomas Stanley. I think he was a professor for Georgia State. He passed away a few years ago. But it talks about how millionaires spend money. If you want to be a millionaire, if you want to be successful, you need to have the mindset of a millionaire. You need to do what millionaires do. Average millionaire drives a Ford F-150 truck, not a Maserati. A Maserati is not going to help you get any closer to a millionaire. Like so you can look like a millionaire or you can be a millionaire. I don't know. Right. So and not only am I speaking from experience, but I've helped clients, become millionaires as well. I've been with them. I didn't do it; they did it. They just followed the script. But a little bit about that's what I would say. That's what I would leave you with. Some jewels. Look us up, www.investfit.com, and that's leave the I off. I was trying to be cool here. I'm not so sure it worked, but it's N as in Nancy, VESTFIT. It's like invest and fit, but leave the I off initially, right? Investfit.com. Look me up. You can find me on there. Find all of our social media stuff. Clearly, we can, you can look us up on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all the good fun stuff. So not quite Instagram yet, but we'll get there. Stay tuned.
Perfect. And then I'll make sure to put your contact information in the show notes. So again, thank you so much for joining the show. Appreciate you.
Moses, thank you very much for having me.